Alright, now that enough time has passed for the new Blindfold update, we can make our tier list video. But if you clicked on this video and you just want to see the tier lists, I'm going to show you every single tier list right now. So first is the weapons, and then it's going to be the perks, then we got cosmetics, and then we got the pets, and then we got the passives, then we got the passive synergies, and then we got the traits. And if you would like to make your own tier list, the link to my TierMaker profile is in the description, which has all the Hunty Zombies tier lists. And if you would like to see a specific tier list, I included chapters in this video so you can go and skip ahead. But before we begin the video, I am doing a huge giveaway during the entire month of December. Each day during the month of December, I will upload a new video, and in each video is a new opportunity to win a giveaway. And that giveaway prize includes a weapon slot, or that includes any of the weapon bundles from the shop. And to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is like the video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment with your Roblox username on it so I can send you a friend request telling you that you won the giveaway. Alright, but now it's time to choose our giveaway winners. And right now, let me tell you, so far the giveaways are a little bit of a mess. All I have to say is if you enter the giveaway, please be on the lookout for a friend request, and please text me back on Roblox because I'm trying to give you your giveaway prize, but if nobody answers me, then I'm gonna have to move on and pick new winners. Because this issue keeps happening, I have to choose 3 new winners this video. So let me get everything straight. Johan will still be claiming his giveaway prize. We're still trying to figure out a schedule because we're still texting each other. Unfortunately, Antonio is not claiming his giveaway prize, so I'll be selecting a new winner from this video. And one last time is also not claiming his giveaway prize, so I'll be selecting a new winner from this video. And we still have to choose a giveaway winner from today's video, so that's why we've got 3 of my videos ready here. We're going to be rolling a winner from each video. So let's start with my blindfold video. To copy this link, and let's press fetch, not include replies, and anything goes, and let's see how many comments this video got and select the new winner. And the new winner is Alexander. Congrats and thank you so much for subscribing. Now let's select the new winner from this video. We're going to copy this link, press fetch, no replies once again, and anything goes. We're selecting a new winner once again for this video. So this video has a lot more comments, 207 comments, and the new winner is Gal43New. Congrats on winning, man, and thank you so much for all the support you give me. Alright, now finally let's select the winner for today's video. We're going to copy the link and press fetch, no replies, and let's select a brand new winner for today's video. So we have 142 comments, and the new winner is going to be RiderChew10. Thank you so much for the support on the channel, man, and thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for all the support on the channel. Shout out to all the winners. But now we're going to begin with the weapons tier list. Starting in D tier, we've got the baseball, the axes, and the guitar. Every weapon in D tier are weapons that you want to roll off even if you are a new player. You do not want to start the game with any of these 3 weapons right here. Now in C tier, I've got the pure hands and I've got the daggers. These weapons are a little bit stronger than D tier, but they're still not great. As a beginner, I would still recommend trying to spin off the pure hand weapon, but if you get stuck with it, it's not the end of the world. And daggers, unfortunately, is just one of the worst weapons in the entire game. Its damage is just way too weak. Now in B tier, I've got the dual guns, the priest weapon, and the zombie claws. These are all great weapons to get, especially if you are a beginner. I will say that priest and dual guns are a lot more useful than zombie claws. This is because if you take priest all the way to 100 mastery, it gives you access to its 100 mastery move. And its 100 mastery move makes you immortal for a period of time, making it really useful and endless. And the dual guns is a great secondary weapon for late game players who want to time their 5th and 10th attacks with a fast cooldown weapon. But outside of its really niche utility, these weapons are alright when it comes to damage. Now for our most packed tier, we have A tier, and we've got the chainsaw weapon, we've got the ghost weapon, we've got the OG scythe weapon, we've got sledgehammer, we've got greatsword, we got hand fan, we have anchor, scissors, and katana. Now all these weapons are in a very similar tier when it comes to damage, but I will say that chainsaw is the best when it comes to straight DPS compared to all these weapons below. Katana is unfortunately the worst because it has really long cooldowns and its damage is a little bit weak. Scissors has faster cooldowns and really fast attack animation, but its DPS doesn't really get that big. Anchor has pretty fast cooldowns and really long range. It's just held back by its first move not being an attacking move. Now, although the hand fans are very weak when it comes to DPS, it does have excellent range, making it perfect for hell mode and even more amazing for endless, which is really relevant right now in this game. But the best spinnable mythic weapon when it comes to DPS is the greatsword. The range on greatsword is pretty mid, but it does gap the hand fans by damage by a pretty wide margin. Now next is a sledgehammer, and the sledgehammer is very similar to strength when it comes to the greatsword, but the only reason why I'm ranking it higher is it does have slightly longer range and slightly faster cooldowns, and it's a lot easier to obtain than the greatsword. Now next up is the OG scythe, and I'll be honest with you, I do not personally own the OG scythe, but this seems to be like the right spot to put it in. Now next up is the worst divine in the entire game, and that is Ghost. Unfortunately, the damage output of Ghost is just way too weak, and its attack animations are just way too slow, and its cooldowns are just way too long. Ghost isn't really great in any game mode, as there are other weapons that can outperform what it does. If you want a weapon with better range, just take the headfan. If you want a weapon with better DPS, then take the chainsaw. So unfortunately for its rarity, there are better options than Ghost. I will say that Ghost is definitely stronger than these weapons right here, but chainsaw is a far stronger weapon than Ghost. Because it is a high tick damage weapon, it does lots of damage and scales really high to high-end cosmetics and high-end pets. If you are a beginner and looking to solo some raid bosses, I definitely recommend picking up the chainsaw weapon. And next up, we've got S tier. And in S tier, we've got the Reaper Scythe, the bow, the Halloween sword, spinal blade, and the shoes. Now, every weapon in S tier can be all content in the game, except when it comes to the Joker boss and the Sukuna boss. Starting with the shoes, it is the second worst divine when it comes to damage. This is because its cooldowns are really long and they nerf the initial damage of shoes. But unless the devs entirely rework this weapon, there is one thing you can't take away from the shoes, and that's its really long range. Depending on what map you play on, the range of its moves practically covers the entire map. This makes it excellent in Hell mode and really great when it comes to Endless. You can be at a comfortable distance, knocking out all the zombies using shoes while not being anywhere near them. Now next up is the Spinal Blade. I will say that Spinal Blade is the second strongest divine in the game. It's even stronger than the bow. But the only reason why Spinal Blade is not any higher is because it does not see any utility outside of raw DPS. Yes, it is the best at dealing damage, but its attack animations and its AoE is pretty small, making it not that useful when it comes to Endless, or when it comes to campaign, or when it comes to payloads. Now next up is the Halloween sword. The Halloween sword is stronger than Spinal Blade, and it's also stronger than the bow. But the only reason why the Halloween sword is lower than the bow is because it does not have the same range that bow does. It's still an amazing weapon, it has really low cooldowns, has decently sized range, and really fast attack animations. But it's not anything too crazy or anything too insane. It's just a decently good weapon. It's not outstanding unlike other weapons. And an outstanding weapon is the bow. The bow is an amazing weapon because it is really easy to obtain from the Shogun raid boss, and on top of that it has amazing range, really fast attack animation, and really fast cooldown. It's making it good in virtually every game mode in the game. It's amazing for Endless, it's amazing for Hell mode, it's amazing for payloads, and does amazing DPS when it comes to raids. And on top of all that, it also sees utility to help you get your 5th attack on your more stronger DPS weapons. So overall, the bow is just an amazing weapon in every single facet. I highly recommend picking up the bow. The only reason it's not any higher is because it does lack in DPS and it does lack in AoE, making it not the number one when it comes to certain game modes. And the number one weapon in S tier is the Reaper Scythe. The Reaper Scythe is still an amazing weapon when it comes to Hell mode and still the best weapon when it comes to Endless. And on top of that, it still has more DPS than bow, and it's amazing when it comes to payloads. While you're picking up tires and payloads, all you have to do is use your second or third moves to kill all zombies all around the tire you're picking up, so you're not interrupted. Despite all the power creep that this game is getting, the Reaper Scythe is still worth it to get because it still has incredible uses outside of dealing damage. And unless they rework this weapon, that is just something that'll never go away for the Reaper Scythe. But now it's time to go into the meta tier, and I want you to keep in mind that I'm not only ranking damage, but I'm also ranking how useful the weapon is outside of doing raids and doing other game modes. So keep in mind when I place these weapons in meta tier, okay? So the tippy top weapon in meta tier is the wizard weapon, with second being Blindfold and third being Joker. Now it is very obvious the Blindfold is the best weapon in the game when it comes to straight raw DPS. Nothing else comes close. You can one-shot the Sukuna boss if you have the right setup. But outside of being able to one-shot the Sukuna boss, the Blindfold is basically useless. It is not that great when it comes to Hell mode, it is not that great when it comes to payloads, and it is not that great when it comes to Endless. So because of that, it does not feel right to place this weapon at the number one of being meta tier. I always feel that the number one in my meta tier should be beating every single aspect of this game like cakewalk. And that weapon is gonna go to the wizard. Now the wizard does not rival the Blindfold in strength, and it doesn't even rival the Joker in strength. But it still has better DPS than all the weapons below it, and on top of that, it is one of the best weapons to bring when it comes to doing Endless, and an amazing weapon when it comes to doing campaign, and an incredible weapon to bring when it comes to payloads. Now I didn't talk about the Joker much, and that's because the Joker is just very similar to the Blindfold. Now the Joker does have range, and it does have slight utility when you want to use its range, but one big issue with Joker is that it can't kill a crowded group of 30 zombies in one skill. But despite all the slander I'm giving these weapons, they're still amazing in raids. If you don't have Wizard and you're somehow able to beat the Joker boss, Joker is still worth it to go for since Joker does have better DPS than the Wizard. So obviously there's still a reason why these weapons are in meta tier. But that's the weapon tier list right there, and moving on, we're going to go into the perk tier list. Now starting with C tier, we've got the Flame perk. Damage over time effects in this game are effectively useless, so this perk is basically useless to me. Even if you're a beginner, I would recommend spinning this perk off at all costs. Now in B tier, I've got the Joker perk and I've got the Berserker perk right here. Now these perks are slightly useful, but still not worth it. Especially the Joker perk. The Joker perk is just way too inconsistent for you to want to rely on. It sucks because this is a divine perk, so for a perk to be so rare, to be all the way in B tier, to be the third worst perk in the game is really sad to see. But that's my honest opinion of the Joker perk. I do not think it's worth it whatsoever. So do not worry about trying to spin for this perk. But now in A tier, I've got the Healer perk, the Reduced Damage perk, the Adrenaline perk, and the Last Hope perk. Now all these perks are amazing for beginners or have a very specific use in very specific game modes. For beginners, Last Hope is still a great perk to bring if you still struggle with killing the boss in one move. And the Adrenaline perk is a great perk to bring when it comes to doing payloads. Personally, this is the perk I bring when I do payloads. But outside of that, Adrenaline has no uses. Since Endless is becoming more useful and relevant, Reduced Damage has been a great alternative for beginners to bring. And in A tier, I've got the Healer perk. Now the reason why I say the Healer perk is the best perk for beginners regardless of what they're doing is that beginners are susceptible for making lots of mistakes. And the mistakes I'm referring to is taking lots of damage from enemies. Now obviously that is not the new player's fault, they're still learning the game and they're still trying to understand how it works. So to help mitigate any mistakes, the Healer perk is amazing for healing any health that they accidentally took. Now in S tier, I've got the Vampire perk and the Damage Shield perk. The Damage Shield perk is easily the best perk when it comes to doing Endless. It's basically a way better of reduced damage perk, giving you even more defense, basically making you invincible. Now in S tier is the Vampire perk. Now the reason why I find the Vampire perk better than the Damage Shield perk is that it has way better utility outside of Endless. Because in my opinion, Damage Shield is only good for Endless and that's it. But the Vampire perk is great for beginners if they are doing raids. The Vampire perk is the best perk when it comes to doing campaign. And this perk is a great alternative to doing Endless if you don't want to bring Damage Shield. So that's what makes the Vampire perk the best perk in S tier. Now for Meta tier, I've got the Critical perk, the Undead perk, and the Double Damage perk. You could switch the Undead and the Critical perk as number 1. To me, they are tied for number 1. But the number 2 best perk in the game is the Double Damage perk. Now the reason why the perk that literally says damage on it is worse than these two perks is because of the Red Blade Cosmetic. And if you don't know what the Cosmetic does, it has a special when you are below 80% health, you get Strength 5. So this makes running double damage effectively useless since there is a far better version of it that exists. But if you're not going to run the Red Blade Cosmetic, this is still a great perk to run. So because of that, these are the only 2 perks left that increase your DPS. Now depending on your build, if you have high level pets or you have the Yoriichi trait, that's what's going to determine whether the Critical perk or the Undead perk is going to be better. For example, if you already have high crit chance, then the Undead perk is going to be better. But if you're like me and you don't have lots of crit chance, then the Critical perk is going to be so much better, getting you really close to 100% crit rate, giving you lots of consistency. And if you have slower cooldowns, that's when Undead is going to be better. But that's the final perk tier list. Moving on to the Cosmetic tier list. Alright, starting with F tier, we've got the Cross Necklace, the Skeleton Mask, the Grizzly Boots, the Clown Nose, the Lollipop, and the Scarf. Now the reason why these are all in F tier is because these are just worse versions of other existing cosmetics. On top of that, these are just not worth it at all to craft. Now in C tier, I've got Ring of Faith, Dragon Boots, and the Skull Ring. Now the only reason why these are a little bit useful than these cosmetics is because these give you some damage stats, but they're still not worth it to craft or obtain. Now in B tier, I've got the Pirate Eye Patch, the Reaper's Hat, the Oni Mask, the Comedy Mask, the Eyeball Necklace, and the Magician's Hat. Now there's one thing in common that all these cosmetics have, and it's that they all give you 5 damage stat. But just like the other cosmetics, they're still not worth it to craft even with that in mind. The only ones that are quote unquote worth it are the Oni Mask and the Reaper's Hat. The Oni Mask is only worth it for beginners who really need a cosmetic because it's really easy to obtain from the Shogun boss. And the Reaper's Hat is just a nice little bonus cosmetic that if you happen to get, I guess it's nice to have. But now starting with A tier, we got the Jester Staff, the Reaper Scarf, the Devil Horns, the Limited Cosmetic, and the Coffin Backpack. Now these are definitely much better in DPS when it comes to all these cosmetics below. Any combination of these cosmetics right here boosts your DPS to be strong enough to solo the Reaper boss. But now we're moving on to S tier, and in S tier we've got the Pumpkin Head, the Killer Mask, the Pirate Hat, the Jester Mask, and the Jester Hat. Now these are all amazing cosmetics that can easily defeat the Reaper raid boss. and they're great secondary alternatives when it comes to soloing the Joker boss. And I will mention that Jester Hat is definitely one of the most terrible cosmetics in the game when it comes to how expensive they are compared to how good they actually are. This costs 5,500 raid coins and the cosmetic is not even good. Its special effect is that there's a 10% chance where your attack has double damage. Now the reason why this sucks is because it's just way too inconsistent for it to actually be good compared to all these cosmetics right here. Now to be honest with you, the Jester Mask is just an okay cosmetic. It used to be great for its coin bonus, but right now coin bonus is not really relevant since the best way to earn coins is in endless and coin bonus doesn't work in endless. So that is why it is pretty low on S tier, still definitely better than the Jester Hat though. Now next up we have the Pirate Hat, which is the only cosmetic that is actually worth crafting. If you weren't able to obtain the pumpkin head during the Halloween event, then the Pirate Hat is a great alternative. Now next up on S tier is the Killer Face cosmetic. This is definitely a cosmetic I recommend for all players to obtain. All you have to do is reach level 50 in the battle pass, and this is pretty doable even for beginners. So if you are a beginner level player, I suggest working on your battle pass right now so you can get this cosmetic. It is an amazing cosmetic and definitely worth it. But at the top of S tier is the Pumpkinhead cosmetic. It is simply just the best cosmetic when it comes to DPS, giving you all the crit damage and all the crit chance and all the flat damage. Now it's time for meta tier, and in meta tier I've got Red Blade at number 1, and then I've got Snazzy Glasses, and then I have Cursed Crown, and then I have Jester Rings, and then I have Cursed Finger, and then I have Boombox. Now I know meta tier is super packed, but let me explain the only cosmetic that's different from all these, and that's Boombox. Now I know I said that coin bonus isn't a relevant stat anymore, but what makes this cosmetic amazing is its special effect, and that special effect is when your health gets below 50%, you will be immortal for 5 seconds. This effect even works on incoming attacks, which means that if there's an incoming attack to you, you will completely negate the entire attack and then be immortal for 5 seconds. This makes it one of the best cosmetics in the game when it comes to survival. It just lets you take one entire hit, even if it one-shots you, completely ignores it and ignores all the next coming attacks for 5 seconds. That ability alone just makes Boombox amazing when it comes to survival. Although it does not boost your DPS that much, its utility definitely deserves it, at least in meta tier. Now moving on to all these cosmetics right here. I recently did a video showcasing all these cosmetics and showing you how they are all definitely very similar to each other. So to me it may sound pretty crazy, but there is a 5-way tie between all 5 of these cosmetics right here. The only reason why I have Red Blade and Snazzy Glasses ahead of these 3 right here is because hypothetically, if you had all level 10 pets and you had the Yoriichi trait, you would already have lots of crit chance, where you don't need the crit chance cosmetics right here, and you could just go all in on critical damage, giving you the biggest number possible. But if you're like me and you don't have the Yoriichi trait, then that's when you refer to cosmetics like the Cursed Crown and the Jester Rings and the Cursed Finger, as they give you all crit chance and great DPS stats. What only makes each cosmetic different from each other is whichever your preference is. The link to my video about these cosmetics will be in the description if you want to see a full in-depth video about all this. So since I've already shared my thoughts on all these cosmetics, you can just refer to that video right there. But this is the complete list for all the cosmetics in the game. Now I'm going to move on to all the pets in the game. Starting in F tier, we either have pets that don't work or the worst pets in the entire game, and that's going to be the Sorcerer Cat, the Parker Pet, the Tiger Pet, the Dragon Pet, the Raven Pet, the Cat Pet, and the Dog Pet. First, let me explain that the Sorcerer Cat and the Parker Pet are currently not working in the game, and they're not giving you any of the DPS stats for some reason. So that's why they're in F tier, they just don't work. Now, if they did what the stats actually said they did, I would put them all the way at the top of S tier. But since they don't work, they're going to be sitting here at F tier for now. If they finally get fixed, I will give them a proper ranking on the next tier list. Now next, let me explain that damage over time effects and drop chance effects are the worst scams in the entire game. I haven't shown this in the tier list video yet, but months ago, all the way in September 16th was the last time I edited this Google spreadsheet. I made a spreadsheet documenting if the Raven and Dragon Pet were actually giving you an extra drop chance. So these are the results using Raven and Dragon, and these are the results without using Raven and Dragon. As you can see, my average spins were 2 lucky spins and 2 traits. Using Raven and Dragon, there were 1.7 spins and 1.86 traits. Now you're probably wondering, how did you get lower traits and lower lucky spins? Well, this is because of the damage over time effects. You can see it in this part right here. Equipping the Dragon Pet causes burn damage, causing the enemies killed by the final blow to drop nothing. So damage over time effects makes enemies drop nothing at all, meaning that's less traits, that's less lucky spins, that's less money, that's less everything. So this is why drop chance and damage over time effects are the worst and biggest scams in the entire game. It absolutely infuriates me because I did 60 runs documenting data to prove this right. Please understand that these are just the worst pets in the game and they will just never get better. They've always been the worst ever since release. But now with F tier out of the way, let's get right into D tier. And in D tier, we've got the goat pet, we've got the crocodile pet, we've got hamster, we've got porcupine, we've got shark, we've got pig, we got the rabbit pet, and we got the dinosaur pet. Now what makes D tier different from F tier is that these pets actually give you stats that are actually usable. Now the only reason why they're in D tier is because the stats that they give you are either way too low, or there are just better versions of these pets that exist where it just doesn't make sense running these pets whatsoever. And that's the reason why dinosaur is here, is because it actually gives you negative stats. Even though it does give you some positive stats, the negative stats that it gives you is just way too significant for it to actually be runnable. But moving on to C tier, we've got beginner friendly pets, and these pets are going to be the deer, the worm pet, the cursed dog pet, and the phoenix pet. These are great for beginners if you want some more survival, as these are giving you healing, some extra health, and giving you an extra life. Now I will mention that phoenix is a great idea for people who are trying hell mode for the first time, so you can get a taste of how strong those zombies actually are. But in my opinion, I do not recommend spinning on the mythic pet pack, because that's where you get the worm, the phoenix, and the deer. For now, I only recommend you to spin the P Fresh pack. I would only recommend the anime pet pack if the sorcerer cat pet was actually usable. But unfortunately, he is not usable, so for now, I would just continue spinning on the P Fresh pet pack. So moving on to B tier, these are pets that give you some slight DPS, and that's going to be the flame crow, the bat pet, the white pigeon pet, the frog pet, and the octopus pet. 100% I do not recommend going for the bat pet or the octopus pet. These are not worth it whatsoever. And once again, they come from the mythic pet pack and they're just not worth it for a 1% chance. They do not give you lots of stats. They only give you really low stats, and their stats got immediately power crept. Look at this, giving you 4 damage and 10 skill damage. The most common pet from the P Fresh pet pack is the frog pet, and that's already giving you more damage. So I do not recommend going for those pets whatsoever. Now moving on to A tier are pets that do give you some decent DPS, and that's going to be the reaper pet, the penguin pet, and the spooky ghost pet. Now these are definitely way better options when it comes to DPS, and they also have great utility. The penguin pet does heal you every 30 seconds, and the reaper pet does have a unique effect in giving you extra stats after you kill a special zombie. Personally, I love to use the reaper pet when it comes to endless, because they're killing lots of special zombies, and I don't bring any perks that give me any of the stats that the reaper pet is giving me. But moving on to S tier, when it comes to straight DPS, we've got this chainsaw pup, the fox cube, the monkey pet, the spirit fire pet, and the spooky cat pet. Now I know I did mention that rolling on the anime pet pack is not worth it, but in my opinion, for beginners and for utility, I do think that spirit fire is better than all these pets right here. This is because spirit fire gives you walk speed and it gives you lifesteal. These pets give you all-in damage, but they don't give you any more stats outside of that. They're still good DPS pets to bring, but I imagine you want to throw in some pets that also give you some healing. So that's what's going to make the spirit fire and the spooky cat better than these pets right here, as they also have more utility outside of just doing damage. I may have to edit the tier list. There was accidentally 2 worms here, so ignore the second worm. But moving on to meta tier, we've got the cosplay pet, the P Fresh pet, and the supercar pet. These are definitely the best pets in the entire game without a doubt. The supercar pet is the best pet in the entire game when it comes to grinding. This pet will always be amazing just because of its special effect, and it has a 30% chance to double all the collection amounts for lucky spins and for traits. Lucky spins and traits will always be needed in this game, so you'll always be using the supercar to pick up all the resources you need. Now the 2 best pets to bring when it comes to DPS will be the P Fresh pet and the cosplay pet. Even if the sorcerer cat was working as intended, the P Fresh pet and the cosplay pet are still stronger than the sorcerer cat pet. So I still recommend going for the P Fresh pet. The reason why these 2 are so amazing is because you want to combo your 5th and 10th attack to do lots of damage, killing the boss in nearly 1 shot depending on your build. So for now, it looks like these 2 pets are not going away soon when it comes to the best at doing DPS, so I recommend going for these pets. So this is a final tier list when it comes to the pets, and now I'm going to move on to the passives. So first, I'm going to rank the passives by themselves in this tier list, and in the next tier list, I'm going to rank all the passive synergies. So starting with the passives, we've got HP and we've got damage reduction. These are decent passives that they at least give you some stats, but there are better options. Now next up, we've got crit and crit damage. Compared to how much stats that all the other passives give you, the amount of crit chance and crit damage that these passives give you is really low. So to be honest with you, even if you want to go all in on DPS, I do not recommend bringing these 2 passives right here. Now moving on to A tier, we got the speed passive and the attack speed passive. Now I find the attack speed passive useful when it comes to payloads, but it doesn't see a lot of utility outside of that. And the speed passive is an amazing passive, great for endless, great for hell mode, great for payloads, great for relatively anything that isn't a raid. Now in S tier, we've got the attack passive and the cooldown reduction passive. Now the the cooldown reduction is going to be amazing because you're going to be able to spam your skills, making it amazing for endless and amazing for raids. And the attack passive is amazing when you're trying to do more DPS. Now I know it only does just give you 3 flat attack damage, but I mean it's free attack damage. Who can say no to that? I almost forgot I did update this tier list, and Fortune is supposed to be in C tier. Fortune is not useful anymore because the best way to make coins is doing endless, and Fortune does not help you make more coins on endless. So right now the passive is basically useless. But in meta tier, the best passive in the game is definitely going to be the AP passive. The damage increase you see from equipping the AP passive is just amazing. You definitely notice a difference when using the AP passive. But that's the final tier list for passives by themselves. Now we got passive synergies. Alright, starting with A tier, we've got Last Stand Fighter and Treasure Hunter. Just like I said for the Fortune passive, unfortunately, this synergy does not help you make more money on endless, since that's the fastest way to make money. So there's basically no use to run Treasure Hunter synergy anymore. And the Last Stand Fighter is just way too inconsistent to achieve. Now in S tier, I've got the Healthy Power synergy and the Swift Cast synergy. The Swift Cast synergy is the best synergy when it comes to doing campaign and when it comes to doing endless. And if you are a beginner and you can't get the AP passive, this is an amazing synergy to bring when it comes to doing raids. But what's going to give you more DPS is the Healthy Power synergy. As long as you are above 80% health, you will get a permanent 1.15 times damage boost. This is a great DPS increase for mid-game players, but not the best late-game DPS synergy. That title belongs to the Berserker synergy. This is because you want to combo this with the P-Fresh and the Cosplay Pet, where every attack you do 1.75 times damage, adding that multiplier on top of the Cosplay Pet and the P-Fresh Pet. But that's the final tier list for passive synergies. Now finally, we have the traits. Now I will mention I didn't include Agility 1 and Agility 2 and Focus 1 and Focus 2 and etc. because I didn't want to clutter this whole tier list of just the same trait. So let's begin with C tier. We've got Power, Agility, and Beast. Unfortunately, these are just the worst traits in the game, and there's just not any usefulness to them whatsoever. These are all filler, and you would at least rather get something else than these 3 traits right here. Now in B tier, we've got Critical Chance, Intelligent, and Fortune. I will say that the usefulness you see out of Intelligent and Fortune is pretty minor, but at least it's still more useful than these 3 traits right here. And I only put Critical Chance in here because it does increase your DPS, giving you more crit chance. But you'd rather see more consistency and a better DPS increase from the Focus 3 trait, which is going to be our A tier trait. This is the best trait to go for if you want to cap out on DPS for beginners. You'll see the most difference in damage from Focus 3, and it's the easiest to obtain. Now in S tier, we've got Critical Damage, the Midas trait, and the Prodigy trait. The Prodigy trait is decent, but it just does not compare in damage when it comes to critical damage and the Midas trait. Especially since the skill damage it gives you is the exact same as Focus 3, so you're just getting extra 30% attack damage. And next up is the Midas trait. Although Midas does give you faster attack speed and faster movement speed than critical damage is just much better than Midas when it comes to straight up DPS. And the difference of each stat is only 5%, so it's not like critical damage is lagging behind when it comes to that aspect. And a 50% extra gold drop from enemies is either bugged or it's just not relevant for it to be a factor. The lifesteal is a nice bonus, but there are already pets that can cover that ground. But the best S tier trait is going to be the critical damage trait. You just see the biggest jump in DPS when you bring the critical damage trait. But in meta tier, and the best trait in the game is going to be the Yoriichi trait. Not only does this trait give you the best DPS in the game, but it also gives you the best movement speed and the best attack speed, making it the best in every single game mode. It is just stacked with so much stats on it, there is obviously no argument for any other trait being better than Yoriichi. And right now, I'll quickly mention a skill tree tier list. In A tier is Defense. This is definitely the worst skill tree in the game. You definitely do not want to invest in this tree whatsoever. Now sitting alone in S tier will be the attack tree. Now this tree is decent, it does boost your DPS, but there is a better suited skill tree that increases your DPS. And in meta tier is going to be the crit skill tree and the speed skill tree. The speed skill tree is just going to be the best skill tree when it comes to doing campaign, endless, and payloads. It gives you cooldown reduction, it gives you movement speed, and it gives you attack speed, helping you in every single game mode except for raids. But the best skill tree when it comes to straight up DPS is going to be the critical skill tree. The reason why the critical tree is better than the attack tree is because it has a higher ceiling of DPS. Because we are at the point of the game where it is really close to get 100% attack rate. So instead of thinking about critical hits being a chance to happen, it's pretty much nearly guaranteed to happen every single time. But I wanted to mention this before the end of the video. But that's going to be it for the tier list video today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please.